Part 47. So, part 47 will be on Christian counseling and signs that you may exhibit that will show that you need counseling. Um, Now, one of the things that I noticed is that in 2017, when the Chris situation, Ian situation, then the Mike situation happened between March and August of 2017. I did get to a point where it's like I did feel hatred towards myself. And I'm not supposed to feel all these things, but because things weren't put in perspective and it was just like a Job situation, trauma after trauma after trauma, with unanswered questions, right? A lot of it still remain like a unresolved conflict. So what that does is when you don't resolve something, you start spiraling. And the adversary on the devices want you to now start thinking things to hate yourself. So when I actually got to a point where I felt like giving up, the Spirit of the Lord had the right New York Police Department officers. They were females, 2 females, at the right place, at the right time. And instead of going to an extreme against me, what they did was they told me, you just need to talk things out. And they told me, go home and watch TV to go home. But here in Florida, if I were to have that situation here in Florida, there they go on the devices. If I were to have that situation here in Florida, they would Baker Act you. They would Baker Act. But they just told me I need to talk things out. I listened to what they had to say. And at that time, too, I was staying with someone who is a professional marriage counselor. And she helped me to realize some things about Ian Maine, or confirm some things about Ian Maine's intention. And she comforted me, helped me out at that time. And then I was a person that I didn't hide from the church. Like if something went wrong or if I did something, I was always this person that I would talk things out with someone from the church, whether I considered them a friend or I would go to the youth leader, somebody. So whatever happened with Ian Maine, I did speak to a pastor, and I already talked about what this pastor did on the microphone about 2 months later. And the wizards brought them up recently in 2026, whatever, because they know scripture and they know when you're supposed to make right with somebody if you have it. So I just sought the Lord, what God thinks on the matter. And when the Lord led me to Matthew 18, 15 to 20, that section, I knew that I had to speak to her and talk things out, make things right. And I did that. It was good to do so. I got a bit of an understanding from her perspective, and I'm aware that she has devices also. But going forward, what I can say is we have pastors, we have leaders, but not every pastor may be equipped to deal with your situation. So you need to seek the Lord and ask God, who should you talk to? But I was the type of person like, listen, if one person, um, if I talk things out with one person and they let me down, that doesn't stop me. I'll persevere because I need to know the truth. I need to get to the truth. And then I actually visited this, no, I was attending this church in Brooklyn. And the pastor's wife is a clinical social worker. And she was able, with the grace of God, she would take time to counsel me. And I appreciate that so much because that helped me through a time when things were happening and I did not know a lot of why it was happening and I didn't have a lot of answers. So she would talk to me, take time, and it would give me peace of mind. It gives you faith to continue on. And so I had two counselors. God helped me at the time to have two counselors. And then I think in 2018, pardon me, the following year, the church downtown, I think it's Temple of Restoration, um, they have services like 3 to 4 times a day. And I would just be there, in there, making my prayers known unto God. And then they have the opportunity that you can have when after a service, you could sit down with the pastor and talk to the pastor. So I was talking and the Lord just knew that I just needed to talk things out. And so that's what I needed. And it helped me to have faith to continue on and to work. So I was working even after they did that. The traumatizing thing, and it's that, one thing, next thing, next thing. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? God would have certain people in place to help you, especially if you're his child. So it's like if you go through the valley, he will be with you. Sometimes you do get to a point like, but I prayed against this. I prayed. How many times have I prayed? I don't want to be in this, God. No. But God would allow certain things to happen because just like he had to endure the cross to save other people, he would allow certain things to happen. He knows how you feel. He knows that I'm against adultery. But he will allow certain things to happen so that you can better counsel and better pinpoint the root cause of certain situations surrounding adultery, fornication, and bitterness in the church. So he had certain counselors in place. And yes, some counselors need counselors. Just like educators would need educators. And not every individual is perfect. You may get your trust betrayed because human beings will be human. Although they may be perfect in knowledge in one area, they may be weak in other areas. And that helps me to, once I understand that, that helps me to forgive. So I don't get, I don't get like all balled up and like I'm not gonna speak to anybody because this happened to me or whatever. I had this way of me that I'm just gonna keep on pushing until I get the answers and everything. And although I never wanted to come down to Florida, coming down to Florida helped me to get the understanding of wizards on devices and stuff like that by his spirit, and the Lord would take that time that I'm not working to, like I would take that time to seek the Lord. So he would work on me. And it took some time, but he helped me on this journey to help me put things in perspective. Because if things aren't in perspective, then you might judge yourself wrongfully, judge the person wrongfully, or judge the situation wrongfully. And then you may walk around with bitterness, and bitterness skews your vision because you're not seeing properly when you're bitter. So the solution to bitterness is to forgive, and Matthew 5:23-24 talk things out. But if you can't do that, you're never going to see certain friendships and relationships in the kingdom get to a certain level with certain individuals, because you can't do the basics. Because in this life, people hurt people because they lack knowledge or because they're selfish. But sometimes it takes, it's like it takes you a while before you can really understand that, especially if you are of a mindset where you're not delighting in hurting anyone. So God will bring you through a process and a journey to understand why people do the things they do. So the pastors at the church would provide counseling. So I got that.